Good morning, everyone. We're so glad to see you here with us this morning. Let's get our program underway this morning with the singing of hymn number 87. Number 87, Blessed Be the Tie That Binds. Blessed be the tie that binds our hearts in Christian love, the fellowship of kindred minds is like to that above. Verse number 2. Before our Father's throne, we pour our ardent prayers, our fears and hopes, our names are one, our comfort and our cares. And verse number 3. We share our mutual woes, our mutual burdens we bear, and often for each other close the sympathizing tear. You may be seated. Good morning again to all. That's typically a farewell hymn. It's sort of like a goodbye hymn to people who are moving away. But in our instance, we're going to say it's a good morning hymn. It's just a welcome worship here at First Presbyterian Church. We're so glad you're joining us, whether you're here in the room here in Redhead or whether you're watching us on live stream. We're all one in Christ, in the body of Christ. Please turn with me in your hymn books to an old favorite. I think every hymn in this book is an old favorite, but hymn number 62. This is In the Garden. And of course, this is the story of Mary Magdalene's unexpected encounter with the resurrected Jesus in the garden tomb. Number 62. wonderful and often called a sentimental hymn, although it may or may not be to you, but to many of us who grew up with that hymn, it certainly is a favorite. It's fair to say that some of us at some time in our life may relive Mary's experience by unexpectedly walking into a situation where we find Christ as a part of our daily life, whether it be in the garden or on the sidewalk or at work or wherever. A remarkable hymn, it really is. We have one more week of our summer schedule and our 9 o'clock Sunday school class. And then that's next week, we'll be back here at 9. And then the following week, on August 24th, we'll return to our regular schedule. We'll rejoice at 9 o'clock upstairs. And then the combined Sunday school classes here in Redhead Hall. And then our sanctuary worship at 11 o'clock. So I think we'll enjoy that extra hour of sleep in there at some point. Our thanks to Mary Ellen Shiplett for being with us this morning at the piano, and we so are appreciative of her accompanying us and supporting us in our singing this morning. Our prayer hymn today, another standard classic and favorite hymn. This is hymn number 43, Amazing Grace. My thanks to Will Edwards last week for filling in and leading the singing. I don't think he knew he was going to do that till he got here, but it was a very delightful to be away on a little vacation last week. God bless you all. Have a lovely Sunday and a blessed Sunday.
Thank you, Mary Ellen and Lane. You always have the appropriate song for the day. Good morning, class. I'm sitting in as Jim is on family vacation for 2 weeks. Lance Williamson has our opening prayer.
Good morning. Good morning. This is a prayer for discipleship. Let us pray. Dear Lord, we thank you for the gift of your love and wisdom. We ask that you guide us in our spiritual growth and help us come closer to you. Grant us a deeper understanding of your holy word and open heart to receive your truth. Help us to discern your will and follow your teachings. May we be filled with courage and strength to continue on the path of righteousness. Give us the wisdom to recognize your presence in our lives and trust in your goodness. Let our faith in you grow every day. Thank you for being our faithful companion as we continue on our spiritual journey of discipleship. Amen.
Thank you, Glenn. Do we have any guests this morning? Okay. Do we have any announcements? Well, I have a couple announcements on the, we have the men's breakfast for September 6th, sign-up sheet on the back table, and the baseball, which sounds like an exciting night. There's two areas. One is, if it's hot, there's an air-conditioned area, so you don't have to worry about getting overheated. You can get your food and go into the air conditioning, and then there's just regular seating. So we have that. John and Bob went fishing one summer and decided to rent a boat from the resort instead of fishing from the shore. They rowed way out and started fishing. They caught one fish after another. John said to Bob, "I wish we could mark this spot. It's the best I've seen since I was a boy." Bob replied, "I have some chalk in my tackle box, so why don't I put an X on the bottom of the boat?" John laughed. "You goofball. What if we don't rent the same boat next time?" Jim Elizer, our property management director, we have the pleasure of hearing from him this morning.
Thank you for inviting me. We've been planning and raising money for this renovation for 2 years. And this is the last day you're going to see the sanctuary with nothing around it. Starting tomorrow, and going for the next few weeks, we're going to have fencing and scaffolding up and actually beginning this project. So it was timely that I was asked to come and give you an update. So I had the first meeting with our construction crew and engineers on Tuesday, July 29th. We have a project manager from Bloom Construction, Simon Gatto. We have an assistant project manager in Thomas Sawtell. And Kenny Goldman from Bloom is going to be the foreman who's going to be here every day. Rather than put a construction trailer on the property, which would have cost us, money that they would charge us for this renovation, we are putting them in offices on the third floor of Shetler in lieu of having to reimburse them for a trailer. So you won't physically see a presence here, except that as they come and the subs come, they're going to be parking on the top deck and in the gravel parking lot. You'll see a lot of the Bloom trucks. Our lead engineer is Brett Adamson with Sutton Carolee, and Logan McCraw is project manager for this. And then, of course, I am the owner's rep. So everything got official with Bloom in June when the session approved our guaranteed maximum price. Bloom is telling us in yellow there that the work they will do around the sanctuary and Smith building will be no more than $7,207,793. You also see the rest of the budget that was approved by the session. I'll point out that we are carrying First Presbyterian Church a contingency of $1,065,396.60. This is so if we have change orders, where we'll go, to spend that out of that category. And if we don't spend it, then it's available back to the church for the next phase of the project. The money received in June covers this 11,220,000 and change, and has an excess of $888,000 ready for us to decide what to do with for the next phase. We hope by the time that we get to the end of doing all of the sanctuary in the Smith building, that we will have enough money to begin the memorial building next. We have 2 years to figure that out, because this project, starting tomorrow, is going to take all the way till mid-December of 2026 before it finishes. Okay? I want to show you what the sanctuary is going to look like over the course of the next few weeks. We're starting on Green Street. Okay? We are starting the door that goes into the bottom narthex right at the front steps on the Green Street side is the starting point. What you see in the green around the sanctuary is actually going to be the fenced-in area. The fencing is going up first thing tomorrow, and will be up until they finish those sections. Okay. Also, you see a little brown coming out of the doors, and that's going to be a wood tunnel that allows members to access those doors while the work is going on. Okay, so we're going to continue to use the sanctuary. We're going to continue to use the Smith building, and we will just simply have wood tunnel entrances going in. That's for our protection. So during the day, if you're coming in, you can be assured that once you hit the sidewalk and start walking down, you're in a tunnel. Nothing above you, this work being done, is going to drop and hit anybody on the head. The green fenced-in areas are restricted after tomorrow for workers only. Okay. So the project work hours have been established to be Monday through Friday from 7 a.m. to 5 p.m. Bloom checked the city noise ordinance, and those hours work. Okay, nobody can make a lot of noise in this neighborhood before 7 and after 6 actually. That's construction related, and the noise ordinance extends to 10 o'clock for other members of the Fisher Park area. Saturday work will not be permitted unless the work schedule falls behind due to weather delays. Now, when I say we're going to start tomorrow and we're going to finish at the end of next year, that schedule was put together as guaranteed by Bloom. If this project goes past December of next year, there's actually penalties for them. Okay. But they have worked in average rain days where they can't work. They have also worked in 20-some days a year where we'll have funerals and they can't work. Okay. All of that is considered. Now, if rain is excessive, and last week it was, then they have the ability to catch up on Saturdays, but they have to do it by permission from me. And then, of course, no work is approved on Sundays. So all people that are coming in that green area that's by the fence have to have hard hats, safety glasses, and work shoes that are either steel-toed or composite-toed. members of the PRC, myself, will be going in those areas from time to time, and we will have to have our work shoes and safety glasses and hard hats when we do. All grinding of mortar includes dust being bagged per OSHA guidelines. It does, grinding mortar isn't going to create dust in the atmosphere that will bother people coming and going, because they're required to recover it and bag it and take it out that way. They assure me that 99% of the dust is not going to be in the atmosphere, but there's always a little that'll get there. I recommend members wear a mask from your car until you get inside the building. And then when you leave the building, wear that mask till you get out of the car, because you don't want very concrete dust. But there'll be very little of it. So, as I mentioned, fencing is going to start tomorrow. I expect it to be completed the same day. Scaffolding for the work area 1, which is you see the picture of the building on the side. You see blue down Green Street. That is the scaffolding for work area 1. Okay. When you see green going around the back of the building, both up by the rose window and into the courtyard, that's work area 2. The scaffolding will follow for work area 2 in a few weeks, but we anticipate starting a week from Monday, or on the 18th, putting the scaffolding up for that work area 1 all the way to the top, okay, and what looks like a blue against the sanctuary, okay. They will follow by mid-September with the work area 2, which is that green part going around the back of the sanctuary. Okay. And I mentioned about the wood tunnels. All 3 doors on Green Street, going to the bottom of the narthex, going to the handicap entrance, going to Virginia Gilmore, will be tunneled. And when they get to work area 2, there is a classroom that has to be wood tunneled out and outside because all classrooms have to have a second exit. And then when you get to the tower room, you'll actually go in a tunnel, and you'll be able to choose 2 tunnels, either a tunnel going up the steps to the entrance to the tower room or going down the steps by the columbarium to that lower door. Okay, so it's kind of going to be a double tunnel. Bloom has received their city permits. They have also secured a performance bond and builder's risk insurance. Copies of those had to be provided to the church before work begins for the session-approved project protocol. They have, as of today. They weren't when I first put this PowerPoint together, but I do have them now. So rest assured, those necessary insurance, proofs of those necessary insurance are in hand. Contractors and subcontractor parking, as I mentioned before, either in the upper deck off of West Fisher or secondarily the gravel parking lot over here. If they park on the upper deck, they have to leave space for people, for the town and to drop off glass or styrofoam recycling, as we have up there. Subcontractors have been given the list of submittals that they have to provide. WX Tight Waterproofing Company won the contract for the tuck pointing. They're going to be the major contractor. Their submittals include the mortar mix that will be used. It has to be formulated per what the engineer said, and it has to be lab tested. And then we also have a separate contractor I've hired that does material testing throughout the course of the renovation. So the next 2 years, just about every other time they mix about a bunch of mortar, we will take portions of that mix to the lab to make sure that it's the correct mortar used. Two other things happen to secure that. One, once the first batch of mortar is mixed, mortar will come in pre-mixed bags. The dry stuff will, so that they don't have to create a formula every time they do it. And second, like I said, we are material testing. A wall of brick will be constructed at the columbarium side of the sanctuary, so we can physically see that the brick they're going to use and the mortar color matches what's on the building. Okay. And then between now and mid-September, we will be identifying about 6 spots around the sanctuary that we will water test, see how water's getting in before we start. We will 10 by 10 tuck point that area under supervision by myself, the Bloom, and the SKA, because we mean that to be that people actually doing the tuck pointing have to prove to us they're qualified to do it, they're doing it correctly, and literally that's their training that gets them authorized to continue. We really anticipate being about 20 different people tuck pointing, and so all 20 of them have to be certified through this mock-up process that they are doing it correctly. And then, of course, at the end of those 10 by 10 squares being done, we seal it, we do another water test to see how effective it's been in keeping water out. So it's a key step that I've been advocating, and Bloom's all for, and so is that Penley, and as your project review committee is behind. Because we really don't want to start people loose tuck pointing the whole thing until we're sure they're doing it right material, and we'll be able to continue to do it right. And not that they won't be supervised as they go along, they will, but this is just a starting point, okay? So now questions.
The use of Green Street during the week and on Sunday, what is the access to Green Street?
You will find no difference
No different?
in Green Street on Sundays. Still be street parking, still being able to come indoors. It's just you're going to go through a tunnel to get to the door from the parking lot. The fence will actually be the start of the grass just beyond the sidewalks. Okay.
Tim, what's the life expectancy of this repair work? What do they give you on that? Typically,
When you talk to the engineer, he doesn't use the term waterproofing. He doesn't use many decades in what he thinks it'll last, because we still will have no flashing behind the brick. Okay? I mean, this is solid brick construction. What you have is 2 layers of brick, a layer of brick and terracotta as you come inward, a layer of terracotta, and then the lab that the plaster's on. So this is mass brick construction. It wasn't waterproof in 1928. Water still can come in and evaporate out. and will continue to do so. So he calls it, we're making it water resistant. Well, we lasted from 1928 to today, almost 100 years, and we now had deteriorating mortar to handle. We should have technically started at about 7 decades when this property was 70 years old. But we lasted 96. So I think you're going to be good for at least 7 decades. The engineer will say no more than 3. But what you're going to end up with is the integrity of the brick and mortar will be as it was in 1928. So we lasted pretty long, and you know they're going to clean it first. They're going to go in 1.5 inches around every brick, grinding. They're going to come back with 3 different layers of mortar. Okay, let each one dry before they do the next one and the next one, and then they're going to put a clear sealant on it at the end. That's the process. We should have the same integrity in the brick and mortar that was there in 1928.
Are there examples around Greensboro or close by Mississippi John's?
The other side of Hayes Lineberry is a Catholic church. They're not quite as old as us, but close. They started tuck pointing 2 years ago, so everything that faces Fisher and Hayes Lineberry has been done, and they started around the Elm Street side, and you can literally see newer looking brick versus overlooking brick. Now they've been doing it with a lift. They don't have the access problem of going 100 feet up like we do. But there is a perfect example of what tuck pointing does. Now 10 years ago, the brick that comes to a point above both rows windows was done. I mean, so you can look from the street up at the rose window and above it, and you can see what newer tuck-pointed brick looks like compared to the rest of the building. So it's going to look new. It really is when they're done. And it's going to function like that too.
Very informative, Tim. Question. Is there any areas that they might have to, like, okay, this is decaying and we're going to literally have to remove some small sections of brick or anything like that?
They have plans to remove 2,000 bricks throughout this. They also have a page full of allowances that have to be included in the initial price because the stone around the windows, a majority of that will be tuck pointed as needed. And Sutton County flew some drones around, as did the subcontractors, trying to determine how much of that is. So we have, for example, the stone caps will have 20% tuck pointing needing to be done in the price. And then they will say, if we have to do additional, it'll cost you this. They have a whole other page of pricing. If they had to do everything on that that's included and that additional pricing list, it would only tackle half the contingency. But we did it like that, allowances and unit pricing on the rest, because we don't know until we're physically up there next to eyeball of the building what's going to have to be included in capstones and the turrets, for example, that go above, or the halfway roof. You know, that's included, or windows around or stone around the stained glass windows, for example. I think the due diligence they've done with allowances is good. It's as much as they could see with flying drones and estimating. Now, they also, early on, you may remember seeing a lift up the side of the sanctuary going up and checking an area. That's how they determined some of the allowances. They went up and said, well, in what we see here, we see about 25 brick that are going to be needed to be replaced, and therefore they did the math and came up with 2,000 allowance. It's in the price already. Okay, so that's how that procedure will go. Your PRC committee will be making decisions on that contingency of over $1 million, and the beauty is that once they get scaffolding up, we can go up, look at that section, and we can see, we mark with a chalk. This needs to be done, this needs to be done, and look versus the allowances is what we thought, so.
But other than the stonework around the roof, the roof itself
Yes, will be looked at.
will be looked at.
Yes.
So we don't know if we've got a problem really or not until.
Well, we dealt with that 10 years ago, that copper seam roof.
Right.
And we dealt with all the stone around all the turrets, and we tuck pointed them. And inside the stone, when the copper seam roof comes down and turns back up, we put all the scholastic caulking in, keep water coming in there. We've been inspecting that every 2 years since last renovation and have found it in good shape. But it makes no sense if we're up there by scaffolding not to check it out and add it if we see there's a problem. And that's, some of that is included in the allowances that they had to include in their bid. And then we've got pricing on, if we find it, what will happen. Secondarily gets put scaffolding, blue goes up, I go up. You're going to find Homer Wade up there, who's the chairman of the PRC committee. And we'll be putting our eyeballs on this stuff, comparing it to what they were going to include and what might need to be included. What's not included right now is scaffolding up the turrets, for example. But once we're up there, we can eyeball them, and we can add it. The scaffolding company had to give us a unit price on each turret, and WX type waterproofing had to give us if we chose one, if we chose any one of the 19 that we're going to have to rescaffold and do work around, we pre-know the prices of that. And when I say half the contingency would cover all of it, I'm including all 19 if we found deficiencies.
Yeah.
What about the children, the day we
The school?
how are you going to protect
Well,
them?
the only one that needs serious protection, it will need a tunnel coming out, what the classroom 104 that's being used because its exit door is a part of next to the Smith building. But the rest of the children really are not going to be affected, even walking the courtyard to the playground until we start doing that section of the Smith building. And then again, you'll find tunnels being built for them for their protection. And the playground will have to be shut down at one point because part of the Smith building going out towards Elm Street is inside that playground. That has to have work done. So likelihood is we'll just shut down the playground when that section is being done.
Will there be anywhere for them to play somewhere else?
Well, we have a total of 3 playgrounds, so yeah, they can, it's a little tighter of a schedule, and the number of kids they're allowed to have for school is dependent on the playground space. But the state does recognize if you gotta take something out of, that you're doing work on, for a temporary basis, that may be months and months, they can work around that. But during rain days, we also let them play in here in Redhead Hall and the Life Center. So we have indoor play days, play places for them.
For any bricks that need to be replaced, have they already matched the design as closely as possible?
They feel like they have, but that's why they're building the wall. I mean, the wall will be that high, maybe that wide, and it'll be built vertically next to the building, so you can stand and look at it compared to the rest of the building. And it's done that way to make sure, it's one of the submittals that WXI has to give that assures us it will match. Now, believe it or not, they had to do that 10 years ago, because where did we build new walls? We built a new wall out of the door that you go into Myers Loyalty that goes out that way. We had to know that brick would match. And we had a wall at your entrance stairs for the Welcome Center. We had to know that would match. And we had to put some new brick in around that Welcome Center doors. So we built walls last time and matched the brick and the mortar color. So I'm pretty confident that'll be done again, but last time we built a wall and it didn't match. So they had to tear it down and try again. This is part of what's got to be done before they start work. So it's already been ordered, and WXI is working on that and all their other submittals that they have to give us. They have to match the windows, the metal of the windows that hold the stained glass as it attaches to the center, because we may have portions of that to replace. So we will physically see everything that's getting used to make sure it matches and it has the integrity of what we're looking for. Other questions?
I have a comment and a question. It sounds like you and your team have been very thorough in trying to anticipate everything, but we don't know till it's all over, obviously, as we learned some years ago. My question is, the area around the scaffolding will be secured, I'm sure, but are we liable if a misdirected person goes in and goes up and jumps or something like that?
Well, one of the reasons fencing is being put up, and they really should have done this last time, although they didn't, there'll be locked gates. When they start out each morning, they're unlocking the gate for the workers to come in, and then they're closing the gate, and then there are eyes on anybody trying to come back in those areas. So it's going to be, is it impossible for someone to climb up and jump over the fence? I guess it is. But we meet our liability requirements by putting that fencing up and trying to, to keep the area safe. And then there are, once that's up, OSHA comes to visit, and they do. Last time they came 3 times on what did inspection. We've got to show them that we have secured that area. They won't even allow the guy to mow the yards inside the fencing. They're gonna mow it themselves. They said they would take care of it once it's inside the fence.
And I'm trying to visualize the workers removing the mortar. They're not going to be there chiseling it out. Will they be with power?
Well, they're going to be using a grinder, electric grinder, mostly. But we we've already shown them pictures, and they've seen how some of the brick are so close together that you're not going to be able to mechanically grind. You're going to have to chisel. So, yeah, there'll be some hand chiseling, but mostly it's a like a hand saw, you know, I mean, but for concrete mortar. You know.
And is the mortar mix, does it have to be historically accurate with what we used in 1928, or will it be a more improved compound with maybe chemistry that wasn't available back then?
They're going to try to get it as close to what was used in 1928. If you use something stronger, you could mess up the brick. Yeah, the brick's got to be close to what was there too. They literally, once they're finished grinding, they're going to have a chemical material that coats that before they put the first layer of, and then once that dries, they do the same process. So, Site Kennerly has written the specs very well with what should work and what's out there in industry standards for older buildings. But it's got, you know, what you don't want is it looking different. You know, you want it to meld right back into everything we got.
Or create different stresses on the brick and the building?
Question over here?
I'm showing my ignorance, but is the ultimate objective to check the whole perimeter of the sanctuary?
Yes. Also, whole perimeter of the sanctuary and Smith building, at the end of the day, will be as water resistant as they were in 1928. Now, every one of you can look at spots around Smith and the sanctuary where water's been coming in. Okay, so once we're done with the outside, we'll be coming in to fix those areas. There's going to be a lot of replastering to be done. At one point after Easter of next year, and going through about June or July, scaffolding will go up on the inside of the sanctuary on the Green Street side, because water's been coming in that balcony, and once plaster gets wet, it flakes. And I'm sure you all have seen the flakes down in the balcony or the flakes on top of John's head as he plays the organ. And so we know we have to get up there and take off that bad plaster that got wet and put in new. Everyone is seen in all of the offices underneath the sanctuary, or the main meeting room, or the bride's room. You've seen those windows have messed up sheetrock. So when we're done cut pointing and fixing those windows and reglazing and making those water resistant, we'll have to come inside and fix all that. And we've seen additional plaster problems in the power room. There's a corner of Myers Loyalty that's really bad right now. So we know the spots around the campus, and it's not just the tuck pointing. We have a part of the $7.9 million is roofing to be done, all the slate roof. We didn't find much problems with it, but there are some missing slates and some a couple of ridges where we have to take off some slate and put in a new copper ridge, and then put the slate back. So we have areas there where water's been coming in too. I've been calling my maintenance man the little Dutch boy, because it's like he has to put his finger tight around this campus. And we want to get to the point where all that's taken care of for at least the sanctuary and Smith building. And then hopefully, if we have enough money, we can do this building next. I mean, you only need to look at the windows and the crumbling plaster around the windows to realize water's been getting in that way too. And so hopefully that's next.
maintenance expenses will go down. Is that a fair statement? After this work is done, hopefully some of the regular maintenance expenses will go down, you think? Is that a fair statement?
Yeah, you all don't realize how many times after a huge storm, Mike has to suck water out of carpet and put all fans in places to dry it. So, yeah, it's gonna make all that go down.
Thank you, Tim. We're going
Okay.
to move, but.
I'm around if you have more questions.